your brand is not your website. Your brand is the way that people perceive your business. It's a very energetic, emotional,
feeling,
visceral
not
feeling.
Tangible.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to take that one layer deeper, I personally think that your brand is your CEO. So like CEO brands are people buy from humans. So gone are the days of like B2B, B2C, like branding marketing. It's like human to human. I call it H2H now. So people buy from people. And you even look at Elon and Tesla, you look at Ali Webb of Dry Bar, you look at the founder of ClassPass, you look at all these like super CEO forward brands that aren't even necessarily the personal brands. And that is how they garner trust. And they garner so much credibility, not just through like being an influencer or Instagram. They go the thought leadership pieces and articles, and they speak on stages and things like that. And people really buy into the business when they resonate with the humans behind it. What's up, guys? I'm Anna. I'm founder and CEO of Lumina Creative. We are a market-leading creative agency, and we work with some of the top creators and influencers on the planet. I also support creative entrepreneurs and agency owners in building a life and business in full alignment. And today, Chase and I are chatting all things energy hacking, bio-optimization, and we're also discussing personal branding and entrepreneurship.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Everforward Radio. I'm here in studio with a longtime homie, first time in real life, actually, Anna Nassery, and we're diving into a couple different things. This is going to be for someone who is the side hustler, the entrepreneur, but also someone who doesn't want to lose their wellness along the way. We're talking about personal branding, entrepreneurship, and hacking, biohacking, optimizing yourself all along the way. So with that, Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
IRL, baby.
Yeah.
IRL.
Yeah. And this is, I feel like we're speaking on the intersection of health, longevity, energy, and then also entrepreneurship, which is like my favorite thing to talk about.
How can we create? How can we tap into our creativity? How can we leverage it into a fun project, maybe a full-blown business, but also, like you and I know, and I want to talk about, once it does become a thing, once it does become like your business, your baby, you're going to lose some sleep, you're going to lose some energy, you're going to lose some weight, gain some weight, you're going to maybe dip into some areas of your life that normally you would be on top of. But one of the many things I love about you is that you make such a priority, from what I can tell, to not lose yourself. And I've even heard you talk about how when you look at your schedule and when you look at what you're doing and what's coming up, really assessing, first of all, tapping into and knowing, getting that personal feedback of where is my energy, how am I feeling, how can I best show up for this task, for my team, for the client, and then just, adjust fire accordingly. So I think that's some of the most important information, if nothing else. I think that's what somebody should take away today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that reflection. I think my background, I was so heavy on hustle culture. It was just the way my parents raised me as immigrants, all the way just to the type of schooling I was in. And then the first 5 years of my career were in Silicon Valley. So everything was hustle. Like I didn't sleep that much. I worked a lot. I loved it.
Is it just like incubator life?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a real thing, huh?
Yeah. I had launched a mobile app startup, and I was working full time at another startup, and it was nice. That was what was in the air. And all of my mentors there were men. They were all like the last company I worked at, our CEO was the former COO of Pinterest. My boss was the former CMO of LinkedIn. My other boss was the former head of brand at Snapchat. So like
high performers.
Very high performers. So I worked directly underneath those people, and I loved, and I thought perceivably I loved what they were doing. And the way I didn't originally think I'd be an entrepreneur because it's not really embedded in my culture. It was always like get a high ranking job in corporate. That's at like a prestigious company. So that's what I was making my rankings. And then over time, I looked at a lot of the leaders, and I was like, I don't know if that's exactly where I want to be in 10 years.
If that's the end result.
Exactly. Yeah. So I questioned that for a little bit, and then I loved the idea of, I loved agencies because I, turn and burn, I worked with a lot as on the brand side. And I figured, I was like, it'd be really dope to run my own agency. And then I feel like that's the type of business where I can really hand over a lot of the delivery and then infuse some sort of balance into my life. But I've noticed a lot of people leave corporate and they're already burnt out, and then they look to start their own company thinking that it's going to be easy at that point forward. But I always tell people to make sure that they have enough financial investments, enough energetic investments to take that plunge. Because especially in the beginning, it's a lot.
It's way more than you ever think. It's like going back to when I made the jump, I guess about 6 years now. So you have expectations, you have ideas, and also I had a lot of people around me, even family members that were already there. So I kind of got a little glimpse behind the curtain. But until you're in it, you have no idea. You have no idea. So I want to start first and I got some categories in mind for the show here. So talking about branding, optimization, and entrepreneurship. First, I want to start with branding because that's what you do. And I can tell you all, personally speaking, I've worked with you in your agency in the past for a project that's currently chilling, but it's definitely one that I want.
I keep asking you too, because I don't just say this to all my clients. That was one of my favorite projects we've done, and I cannot wait to see it.
You all crushed it.
Thank you.
The way that you
extracted
extracted the vision, you made it real. Quick little update. About a month ago, I finally got the trademark back in for it.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that was a little, all right, maybe jump back into it.
Beautiful.
But anyway, updates coming soon, fam. So you actually recently changed your entire brand, the name of your agency, and that stood out to me. Someone who has made a name for herself and curated a great team of people that do amazing things in the space of branding. I thought that was kind of odd. So you do this. You have a reason and why for everything you do, or at least that's what it looks like. So I'm curious, why did that have to change? Why is it that a good thing? I can't even read my own question here. Why you already had something established? Why change a good thing that was already working?
Yes. So great question. For those of you that don't know, my agency's name is Lumina, and I launched it around 6 years ago under the name Brand Up. So when I launched it, I kind of scrambled and I launched it, and I did it quick. And with your business, how challenging the naming process is. And you have to make up words literally, and everything's taken up. And when I launched the agency, we were solely visual branding and brand positioning. Now, what we really own is websites. So we do branding as a part of a website project. But we're not, I feel like we were playing small by being called Brand Up, when in reality, we're so much bigger than that. And then also, we really honed in this last year on really working with creators and personal brands, luminaries, if you will. So that word luminary kept coming up, and I really wanted that. I was like, shit, it would be so nice to rebrand as luminary. But so I just played around with it. Lumina was available. It was good. So I ended up taking that. And then also we have our agency, and then we have a template shop, and then we have a semi-custom option. So I had all these plays on words for Lumina Light, Lumina Labs, alliterations with that to kind of bring it all together in a very cohesive way. Whereas I don't think that would have worked with our old name.
Okay. I'm curious, how long was that on your mind, on your heart before actually pulling the trigger?
Oh my goodness, 2-3 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to do it for so long, but I just didn't have the bandwidth, because you know how it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
You do this, so I'm sure you really know what it takes to make that pivot.
So I knew I wanted to do a web redesign. So I was like, okay, why not? This is a great time to do that. And we had just changed up a lot within our model and the way that we were operating in our team. So it was more of an energetic refresh for all of us internally. It was not necessary
That's
at
very on
all.
brand for you to include the energetic refresh.
The energetic refresh.
So let's kind of define our terms now. So how do you define personal branding, and who should have one?
Yes. So I love this question so much. So I'm actually going to open this question up to all kinds of brands. So whether people who own CPG brands, personal brands, if you're a YouTuber, coach, sell info products, or if you own a gym, or if you own any retail good. I personally, this is subjective, but this is a big trend right now as well. I think that your brand is not your logo. Your brand is not your website. Your brand is the way that people perceive your business. It's a very energetic, emotional, visceral feeling.
Tangible.
Exactly. Okay. And to take that one layer deeper, I personally think that your brand is your CEO. So CEO brands are people buy from humans. So gone are the days of like B2B, B2C, like branding marketing. It's like human to human. I call it H2H now. So people buy from people. And, you even look at Elon and Tesla, you look at Ali Webb of Dry Bar, you look at the founder of ClassPass, you look at all these like super CEO forward brands that aren't even necessarily the personal brands. And that is how they garner trust. And they garner so much credibility, not just through like being an influencer or Instagram. They go the thought leadership pieces and articles, and they speak on stages and things like that. And people really buy into the business when they resonate with the humans behind it. So that is something that is really big for me right now, is really spreading the word about how to get leadership teams out and creating content and thought leadership to really garner that trust. And I think a massive testament to this too are like the Hormozis. They've been behind the scenes for years. And now they're investing $65K a month on their personal branding. And look, it blew up. Everyone's talking about the Hormozis now. And now people trust them. They trust their programs, like their businesses, all of that, so that I think that's a massive testament to the power of that.
You might have already kind of explained it, but to ask you directly, to maybe someone listening right now or watching, and they go, I don't want that. Are they really shooting themselves in the foot of going, I don't want to be the face, I don't want to have any kind of personal brand out there with my business. The business should just be able to launch, to survive, to flourish without the personal brand aspect. Do you still feel like that's detrimental?
Yeah. So I currently have a mastermind right now for entrepreneurs, and it's based on a major pillar of it is personal brand, creating personal brand, getting through energetic blocks, because people very much so, very often are very resistant to that. Even the personal brands. They're like, like, I don't, like, they're... It
kind of makes it feel like I have to become someone.
Correct.
I have to become a bottled thing.
Absolutely. But think about it from a leadership perspective. If somebody is running a business, they have the know-how, they have the knowledge to put information out there. They have it. They embody it. They're just, for whatever reasons, they're blocked from it. And I look at your business as such a microcosm of your life. So oftentimes, I think people are blocked creatively. And also there's like another layer of people feeling like putting their personal brand out there is very selfish. It's self-centered. It's like, I want attention. And for me, I was once like that too. So when I launched my agency, I was nowhere on the website. I didn't really have an Instagram. I was like, this isn't about me. This is my agency. Now, 80% of our leads come through me, not my agency, not our email list, not my agency's Instagram. They come through me. And I was the example of the person that wasn't really putting myself out there. Cause again, I had a Silicon Valley background, and I looked down on influencer culture. I was like, I have a real job. I'm not an influencer, like da-da-da-da. So I wouldn't put time and energy in it. It totally blocked me for a very long time until, and this is where my woo side comes in. I remember I got asked to speak at an event, and I was working with an energy healer here in West Hollywood, Dr. Chris George.
As one does.
The GOAT. And I told him, I was like, oh yeah, I got asked to speak at this event. I don't know if I want to do it. And he was like, why? I was like, I don't know, just feels like a lot of pressure and it's not really me. And he was like, why? And I was like, and he just kept picking at me. And for me, the thing, my block was one, imposter syndrome, when in reality, I'd built a multiple 7-figure business. I know what I'm doing. And then 2 was how everyone's going to perceive me. To me, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to look like? What am I going to say? And he helped me alchemize that into it through not being so concerned about how people perceive me, because that's selfish, rather being the medium to bring like my knowledge and gifts to other people. So then you're just a channel of like, this is the knowledge and I'm giving it to you, versus like, here's me, I'm going to look cute, I'm going to sound smart. And then that's when people get nervous. That's when people feel out of integrity. That's when people feel off, versus just showing up as yourself and talking about what you want to talk about based on what you know. So that shift, that was like, changed everything for me. I was like, oh shit, this isn't about me.
Yeah.
It's about me representing my company, me representing my business, and me sharing my gifts, which I have. And I get it, to kind of close the loop on your circle. There are going to be some very high functioning CEOs that are like, I don't have time for this. I'm running my company. That's understandable. And get an assistant or get
Get somebody to run and gun for you.
Figure it out. Yeah, you can get it covered. If Alex Hormozy can do it, you can do it.
Case in point, absolutely. Yeah, and to kind of like share another personal point about that, thank you, by the way. The same thing kind of happened that I didn't realize how much of, I guess, my personal brand was out there in influencing people's decision-making process about like 3 years ago when I started my podcast production company, Operation Podcast, as courses. I taught people because I was looking for different verticals. I was like, let me just, this was like the age of the courses. Everyone's like, make a course, sell a course. Cool, make passive income. And so I was like, okay, well, what do I know really well? And it was podcasting. So I made courses and I taught people, how to record, how to edit, how to, produce, how to upload, how to even monetize, and some interview tactics. And I put it out there, and it, I guess, worked too well in the sense that people would go through the courses and realize, oh, actually, this is way more involved than I thought. Like, Chase, you're way more into this world of podcasting than I ever want to be. But like, I love the end product of you and how you're doing it and how you're living your life. How much would you charge to just do it, like a done for you kind of thing? So I didn't realize how much the personal brand of Chase as podcaster was influencing people's decision-making process on them doing their own thing. And that's when we kind of pivoted and made it, a production house. And so it does have a big impact. Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful. Did you ever have challenges with, like, when did you?
Where do I begin?
Yeah. When did you really start pushing your personal brand? Or because from my perspective, I think you do a great job at it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you do. You have a beautiful mix, and this is what I train people on about like, you're not just like it's like the old like jab hook. You share things. You share your lifestyle. You share your little like health stuff. You're not always pushing affiliates. You're sharing like a glimpse into your life. You're sharing a glimpse into things that you like, and then you share more of like podcasting and products you like. So it's a nice blend where it does not feel salesy. It feels organic.
I want this to go on record that this was not prompted. I didn't tell her to say that.
You didn't tell me.
Anna, seriously, that is like, that's my ultimate goal. That's what I would love to hear most from people, anybody watching, listening to anything I do. It's funny, I actually, this morning before going to the gym and doing all of my stuff, I recorded a solo episode. And I was talking about actually, which we'll get into later, kind of my journey with, peptides and TRT and a bunch of different stuff. And I actually just made that kind of emphasis of all I'm trying to do here is make this a long format extension of what you see in my daily life on social media. My social media, what I do in real life and on social media is what I'm trying, what I'm liking, what I'm not, the good, the bad, the ugly, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, like all the things that make me me. Because twofold, it is therapeutic for me. It's a way, it's like an outlet, a creative and even energetic outlet, but also it's a form of accountability. And I talked about how when I put things out there, I'm saying it and I try to be a man of my word. And so me putting things out there makes me accountable to anybody and everybody that watches it. And hopefully then people can see, all right, it's not one thing that this person is doing that makes them or helps them grow their business. It's a multifacetedness of the human experience that I hope, this is what I'm hoping the listener, the viewer is kind of extracting, that I can be aware of. So then it's like, okay, cool, I need to take care of my body. I need to nurture and have meaningful relationships. I need to maybe fucking get a physical, get some labs drawn, a lot of different things. So to answer your question directly, when did I start working on my personal brand? Only intentionally this year.
Wow.
Yeah, 2023 for me is my theme word this year is direction.
Okay.
The last 2 years has been, 2-3 years have really been expansion. I've been expanding into creativity and different things to do personally, professionally, but expanding in the sense of like really who I am, like the true Chase identity. And now I have that solidified, and now I want to point it in the right direction. So really this year.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Which once I even get more direction, I would love to revisit you and your team to kind of like really brand it as well. So that's kind of where I'm at in my journey with that.
Beautiful.
Great question. I appreciate that. Kind of going back to a couple more in the branding category here, part of the podcast, being or staying on brand. I feel like that's a phrase I see a lot, especially online. From someone who does it, what does it mean? What does it mean to say you need to stay on brand? Is that limiting, or is that actually freeing once we know what our personal brand is?
Oh, that's a very great question. So I think it's funny. I say that a lot. Casually, I'm always like, that's very on brand. You're 5 minutes late. That's on brand for you. I think it can be limiting. I think when you put it like that, and I think you can look at a brand in two different ways. There's one from a business standpoint, like the traditional like brand standards, i.e. visual branding, all the rules associated with that, the color palette and the fonts and da-da-da-da.
Right.
Those are brand standards.
Core structure of the actual brand.
Yeah. So I think that have like a cohesive brand builds trust. So that should be consistent. When it comes to a personal brand and the ways that you show up, you evolve as a human. Your brand's gonna be different from one year to another. My brand's completely different. I think, and that again, going back to the microcosm.
Such an important point.
Yeah. And I think we all, if a great example of this for me too, it's how often it's also how often I like change up the interior design of my home. Want to change my hair. It just like you want to go through different aesthetic changes sometimes, and not just aesthetic, but like voice, tone, energy, emotion. Like, I think it's definitely something that should constantly shift.
How do you shift when changing your brand? What I'm trying to say, I guess, is to stay on brand means to be true to yourself and recognizing that basically everything you just said. So then how do we know when we are really listening and leaning into our authentic self, our authentic brand, and that means a change versus changing for the sake of change because maybe we're going through something, we feel something, or we're looking at the outside world and, oh, well, he did, she did. I need to kind of stay.
Yeah, like outside influence. Yeah, absolutely. I think ideally there should be that correlation between your internal state, what you want, what you desire, versus feeling the need to do that. And then also, I think from a business standpoint, because I'll use you as an example, right? There's chase the human and then there's chase the brand. I think
it's a billable hour.
Yes. Yeah. Just Venmo me after. Okay. But I think there's chase the human and there's chase the brand. You do a good job at, making, from what I know of you, like that is pretty much the same person, but who you are behind closed doors in your close friend stories, like that is that's like a part of you that you might not always want to put out there for the world. Right.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that the external part, like the external brand, as much as for a personal brand, that should kind of be, that should absolutely correlate with like your internal state and who you are and your personality. I also think that, when you look at a brand from a business perspective, everything should be reverse engineered to the end buyer and the end user. So for you, your personal brand, it's not like you have like end buyers, but you have your demographics that you attract. So for me, it's like, I think every business should morph itself to like appeal to the end buyer, to appeal to the person that they want to resonate with, versus, for us at the agency, for example, this is part of our onboarding when we have clients that come in that, we'll have a woman that owns a candle company and she'll be like, I want to make it purple polka dots because I love purple polka dots, but my candles are for men. And I'm like, Cheryl, the men aren't going to like the purple polka dots.
Tighter demographic.
Yeah, we got to reverse engineer everything to appeal to Bob, who's your big brand, who's your archetype.
Big candle guy.
Yeah, Bob loves his candles, right? So I think it should be a blend of that. So it should be a blend of you and your inherent personality, and then also the way that you come off should really appeal to the people that you're trying to like bring in as loyal fans.
I'm wondering if you would maybe get on board with this. One thing, and as you're just describing this, I'm reflecting back on when I guess I have been reintroducing myself in a way. Saying it out loud, again, it kind of goes back to the accountability aspect, but saying it out loud and explaining instead of just doing has really helped with any of the feeling some kind of way or friction or hesitation or imposter syndrome or whatever kind of emotion, undesired emotion, or even what somebody might think of me by just changing something up that I've been doing in one way for so long, really comes back to like intention behind anything that we do. If we first with ourselves can have intention, can figure out why am I doing this? What does it mean to me? Where and why and how is this feeling coming up? And then I provide that through an explanation of like, okay, maybe it quite literally is a different brand. Maybe quite literally is a different logo, or just, hey, you're going to see more of this type of content from me. And here's why. I'm going to share this journey with you because boom, boom, boom. And so intention coupled with explanation really does provide a great kind of release in my experience. And I think is crucial if you're online in any way, or hell, even in real life, those people in real life or online are going to get that explanation and keep that know, like, and trust with you. So it's not just, oh shit, they just completely changed up. What the hell is going on? Oh no, like I listened to the podcast. Why? I saw that post. Why? Or they actually directly told me.
Beautiful.
Let's move right along into actually one other question in branding. Sometimes you go to market, you launch a product, you put something out there as a test or for sale or whatever, and it works, but not in the way that you thought. What does a successful quick pivot look like when your audience / client / avatar, the demographic we're kind of talking about, turns out to be someone else? And what I really mean by that is you create something that you think, it's a product or a service that is going to serve type A person, but it turns out it really serves type B. So you created something that is successful, but not for the person that you thought it would be. How do you pivot so that you can do you need to refresh the brand, or how do you kind of really get locked into that new type of person so that you can keep that momentum?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think early stage businesses can and should be highly iterative in that sense, because going back to the last thing that I mentioned about the ideal buyer. So the way that I see launching any sort of business, and I learned this in Silicon Valley, right? Everything's a hypothesis. So you're going to launch the candle company with the hypothesis that it's going to appeal to moms or whatever it is, and then you launch it, but Bob ends up loving it.
Bob's back,
right? So essentially, and I actually learned a lot about this at a startup I worked at, because over the course of the 2 years that I worked there, we had this product that was for CrossFitters, and then pivoted to, so that was more of a B2C. And then it transitioned to physical therapists, which was B2C. And then it transitioned to elite high school athletes and collegiate athletes.
That's a huge pivot.
Yeah, massive pivots. And we rebranded visually and copy and tone wise three different times to appeal to all these. And again, this was a startup with a big budget, so they could afford hiring different brand agencies, new photo shoots, and then content. So I think that the biggest thing is copywriting and messaging, and just the way that the brand comes off on all different touch points, social media, website, email, all that stuff. So we had to change everything multiple times to do that. So I guess my 2 cents for people who maybe don't have, a well-funded startup budget is to just have grace for that. Ultimately, if your ideal buyer changes, or maybe you get feedback from your ideal buyer that your product needs to change a little bit, have grace with that and do it. Even a lot of the bigger brands, like look at how much Instagram, remember when it launched early on, the product changed, the demographic changed, the aesthetic changed, the name changed.
Nowhere close to what it used to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even, Uber, the visual rebranding, all that, visual branding can and should be refreshed quite often. And bigger things such as changing your demographic, that will change more things than just your logo. That'll change your copy or messaging, because again, you really want to be strategic about appealing to your core demo.
All right, now I want to have a little follow-up question to that is kind of tied into the energetic aspects. My background, health and fitness, a lot of coaches listening, watching, in some kind of coaching, wellness capacity. And I've been there, and I know a lot of people who have been there and probably will be again. You create a program, workout program, meal programming, whatever, something to help people's health and fitness. You put it out there, and you have a ideal customer in mind, this avatar. And it turns out it's actually serving a whole different group. And so you're successful, it's working, money's coming in, clients are coming in. You can just keep with that and go, oh, okay, cool. It's working, I'm doing the thing. But energetically, I will say that not that far off in the future, you're going to really have some friction, because it's not the type of person that you ideally want to work with or work for. So what do we do then when we're successful, but our energy is being drained because we're not serving the person ideally that we want to serve?
I think with that too, that's a personal decision because sometimes people are, if their business is doing well and they're making money off of it, they're able to compartmentalize. Be like, this is work, this is business. I have other things that light me up outside of work, and if these are the people I'm working with, great. The camp that I'm more in is, your work, your career takes up a lot of your day. So why would you have people on your team? Why would you have clients that don't fit well and feel like a drain for you? So for that, I'd say like absolutely prioritize working with people that you want to work with. And it's kind of the way that I started my agency. Like we work with personal brands primarily, like I would say 75%. And then in the early stages when I launched it, because I came from the startup space, I was like, I want to work with health and wellness startups and tech startups. Absolutely not. I discovered they're the worst type of client.
Why?
Because it's like,
Why?
okay, so a tech startup will have like 10 shareholders. Every decision needs to be approved by 10 people. Half of them are dinosaurs. They don't know how to use Slack. They're not going to be responsive versus a personal brand like you. You know what you're doing. You're one person that we have to coordinate with. Your taste, your brand, the aesthetic, what it feels like versus being like, an arbitrary product. It's way more conceptual. So it can be more challenging for people to figure out.
Yeah. Great answer. I like that. Absolutely. All right. So I like to shift into, I guess we'll call it the energetic part of the show. I'm saying optimization because I do know a lot of what you do is optimize in terms of your workflow, but also you and how you energetically flow throughout the day. What is the oddest, and I know you've got some out there, what is the oddest hack, health hack, biohack, whatever you want to call it, or habit that you have?
Okay. I have a couple for you.
Okay.
One is my love for raw beef liver. So I make these raw beef livers. I love raw beef liver is literally like the elixir of life. So
organ meats are fucking life source. Absolutely.
Yeah. I used to be really low on my B vitamins, really low on my iron levels, and I work with Joy Wellness now, and it's been like night and day. Everything's great.
I'm team blokes.
Great. That was one of the main things that I implemented and changed. Is just first of all, my family's from Afghanistan.
Yeah,
we love organ meats. I used to come home from school when I was a kid, and there'd be like a big old block of beef tongue on the table.
I was just gonna say, my father-in-law tried to get me to do beef tongue one time. I couldn't do it. I tried it, but it was really tough.
Yeah, totally. And there's actually, I worked in this fine dining restaurant in college, and we had this beef tongue dish. It was like Vietnamese French fusion. We had this beef tongue dish. One of the best things I've ever had because it's like when it's chopped up, can't really tell what it is. It's like short rib or something, but it's so good. But it's just because of the cartilage and the collagen in it. It's very nutrient dense. But on Sundays in Austin, one of my best friends and I, we have this like Sunday pancake brunch, and then I bring the beef liver over. I just sear it so it's raw on the inside, kind of like ahi, and I just slice it up with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of Maldon salt. So good.
Beef liver pancakes, or it's
no,
like a
sorry,
side?
I didn't separate those. We'll do liver, sliced liver, and pancakes.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I will say though, to double down on the micronutrients and B vitamins specifically. I supplement with an organ meat complex from Paleo Valley. They make the amazing beef sticks. But I take their organ meat complex, and beyond that, like getting some labs tested, and I had some great improvements. Ever since regularly taking that, I used to get really, really bad exertion migraines. Knock on wood, it's been months, and I used to get them really often. And I actually had a naturopathic doctor reach out, shout out Dr. Trish, and she was like, try more organ meats. And so I just increased and kept more regular with the organ meat complex. Game changer.
Amazing. Yeah. I know I've never tried like the capsules, but I will, cause I think it's the easiest way to get them in.
It's one of those things like I love and I know how good organ meats are for us humans, but the probability of me regularly consuming them enough at levels to get the benefits is super low.
Yeah.
With like a lot of things, I think my nutrition and approach to nutrition has changed a lot. The more I've learned, this food actually does really good things for me, and then I can kind of acquire the taste. Like beets and Brussels sprouts for me, I used to hate. Now two of my favorite foods because they're so fucking good for you, especially beets. But anyway, thanks for sharing. That's really cool. Also, we suck down jet fuel here on the show with exogenous ketones. Yeah. What are your top 3 human optimization hacks? And I want to segment them out by physical, mental, and spiritual. So I guess really the 3 categories. What's your top one in each? What do you do that's your health hack, top hack for your physical body, your physical self, your mental state, we'll say maybe mental and emotional, and then spiritual side?
So the thing is that this has definitely been my year of simplifying. I've simplified everything that I do. And I also recognize that in a lot of ways, I think my nervous system has had this like very subconscious addiction to chaos. So along with that came like simplification, and also chaos. Like an agency is the most chaotic business model you can have. You're juggling multiple clients, multiple team members. It's kind of a shit show. I think I've always attracted chaotic partnerships. Along that path of really simplifying things, I noticed how no matter what I'm doing, there is no silver bullet. If I'm stressed out, if I'm overthinking, if I'm in my head, if I'm not in my body, everything else is fucked. Because I went through a year in 2020 where my business went up 5x over the course of 3 months. We're doing $200K a month at the agency. I 4x'd my team. A lot happened at once, and I was making a lot of money, and I was like, great. And I was putting that money into self-care as well. I had the best somatic therapist. I had a plant medicine therapist. I would do a lot of plant medicine. I was doing all of the cryotherapy. I was doing the cold plunges. I was doing the saunas. I was doing the personal trainers. I was doing the acupuncture. I was doing the myofascial people, like everything.
I guess the question should be, what weren't you doing?
Yes. Yeah. So I've tried it all. Yeah. And I noticed in that state, there was nothing else I could possibly do. And my body wasn't doing well. I was depleted, and all of my hormones were fucked up. My energy levels were low. My sleep was shit. My focus was bad. I was putting a Band-Aid on things, and when my internal state wasn't doing the best. So what I've really done,
hacking before getting a baseline, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm this year I've just simplified everything. I am in my soft girl era right now. And I've
Soft girl era? What's that?
So my agency is the most streamlined it's ever been. And we did that by cutting down. We cut down on the amount of projects we were taking on. We cut down on the amount of team members. I eliminated some like middle management roles, and everything's just running super efficient now.
Amazing.
We're able to focus more, on like a smaller amount. And then I'm able to focus on, I have a whole, my consulting business, like my mastermind. I have a community, and that feels very aligned. Because I'm teaching on what I know.
Not living in chaos as much.
Exactly,
really,
as much. Yeah. So now for me, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If my safety is taken care of, if I have financial freedom, I'm good. I can do whatever else I need to do. So I spent the last 6 months really focusing on establishing that. I stripped down a lot of my routines. And this month, like the last 2 months, I've really started rebuilding. So that was a long intro to your question.
No, it all matters. It all matters. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think currently my really big needle movers for everything, mental, emotional, spiritual, it's mainly 3 things. It's getting good quality sleep. It is having good quality mineral rich water, and it's getting a lot of sun. Those are like 90% of health, in my opinion.
And that's predominantly free, everybody.
Yes.
Maybe your access to water is a little different or something, but free shit that really moves the needle.
Yeah, because how fucked up is this? In order for me to feel better, in my mind, be healthier, I used to cut in on my sleep, wake up early to go to the gym, put myself in a high cortisol state, and then get started with my day. Like it's ass backwards the way that you kind of do things sometimes. So I learned to simplify everything. And then currently, some things that I really love are on, I guess, emotional, spiritual side. I'm working with an incredible somatic therapist right now. And he's
can you define somatic therapist?
Yes. So somatic is of the body. And so he's a therapist. And when we speak, he's constantly anchoring me down to my physical experience. He's like, okay, where do you feel that? Is that a familiar feeling? When was the last time you felt that? And then we'll do a lot of internal work. He'll have me go back and visualize things from my childhood.
So is it kind of like traditional, I'll say talk therapy, but then as things come up, it's like actually locating that feeling and emotion to a specific place in the body?
Yes. Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
Exactly. It's really, we can chat more about this later too.
Please. Yeah, absolutely.
It's been really, really, really great for me because I also recognize that being an entrepreneur, I go through these seasons of push and I have these sprints. And whenever I have,
really.
I'm sorry?
You have to, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I prefer that. I prefer having like on and off seasons. But I started noticing during my work sprints, that was also when I'd go really hard on my strength training and I'd go hard in my social life and I'd stack everything at once, which really was like not good for my health in the long run.
It kind of makes sense, right? Like, okay, I'm in push mode, I'm in go mode, so let me go in all areas of my life. But let's be real, you're taxing every area of your life along the way.
Absolutely. And I've also recognized like plant medicine for me, and anytime I address the spiritual, emotional side of myself, that always translates to physical too. It's always, it's like the bottom up approach to like mental health and everything. So plant medicine's been huge for me. I think in the last year I've done have you done Bufo 5-MeO DMT?
No, not yet.
Yeah, that's been really, really massive for me.
This has been the year of ketamine for me.
Same.
I've gone through about 15 sessions.
Oh, really? So do you do it intravenously?
I started off IM, intramuscular, in clinic, full-blown ketamine-assisted psychotherapy for about the first, I think it was like 3-ish. And then after that, it's all been telehealth at home, basically. Yeah.
Oh, great. Cool. Yeah.
With a lozenge, troche kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah. My friends and I, we have the nasal sprays. So in Austin, instead of going out and drinking, we'll just do a little ketamine.
Yeah.
And then or they'll come over and we'll do, it's great. Cause I think alcohol is one of the worst things you could do for your body.
You literally can't deny, like, technically there are no good limits for alcohol. I mean, it's a toxin, it's a poison, it does so much shit. But
don't get me wrong, I love a mezcal.
I'll throw one back.
I love a skinny margarita.
Absolutely.
Okay,
a good IPA or tequila is my jam as well.
Yeah. So whatever, 80-20. I'll have occasional margarita. Won't feel good in the morning.
79-21. We'll go full degen sometime. That's for sure.
But yeah, so plant medicine's been really great. And then on the physical side, I have been loving peptides. Peptides, like the growth hormone inducing peptides. So like testosterone, goat, ipamorelin, amazing. For me, I just noticed how well I sleep on them. And that's a testament to how well it is helping you recover and the actual growth hormone production is happening. So that's been really, really great for me.
Do you run BPC 157?
Yeah, I do oral. Yeah. So I'm currently on Sermorelin and Pramorelin. Okay. I'm on oral BPC 157.
I can't say that. I just say it really fast and hope no one calls me out.
Sermorelin.
Did you just say Merlin? Yes. I'm on a wizard cocktail. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I'm doing a copper face cream. And then LL37 drops. So I'm doing LL37 and BPC 157 orally, and those are both for gut health. And then I just started on semaglutide.
Oh, okay. How are you liking that?
I actually
too soon to tell, or
I just got it shipped to my house in Austin, so I haven't technically started it yet. But I'm working with a functional nutritionist right now named Vince Pitstick. He's incredible. He's helping me through a lot of my stress stuff because I developed an autoimmune condition when shit hit the fan with work. So in 2020,
sorry to hear, but fancy
thank you.
that.
So I have an overactive immune system that battles things really easily. So I never got COVID. I haven't gotten sick in like 10 years. And I've always been like, I have a great immune system. I have an overactive immune system. And that came from just being in like a high stress state for a very long time. So that's been messing up my hormones and a few other things. And so anyways, my nutritionist, he's playing around with something called autophagy for me, which is basically different forms of fasting. So we're doing, we did this lymph flush for 3 weeks.
Ketone support autophagy.
Yes, exactly. So I've been on my ketones.
Shout out HVMN.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny too. I've been using HVMN as well for the last year. It's whenever I have clients come over and do VIP days, when I have my team come over, everyone takes peptides. They're incredible. But
also, fun fact, I'll say, sorry to hijack your story there. It like personifies the cognitive power and focus you have really in any state. This past weekend, I had some friends in town from DC. We definitely were in more of that 20-21%, degen mode. And I gave my buddy Felipe some ketones, and I was like, you're just gonna get like really dialed in and focus. And later on, a few drinks in, a few cocktails later, he's like, like I'm kind of fucked up, but I'm really aware that I'm fucked up, you know? I'm just like really focused about how much I don't need another drink. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the power of ketones.
Yeah.
That also, a couple times I use ketone IQ before going into my ketamine therapy.
Interesting.
Still in a fasted state.
Okay.
And the most significant, the most mystical, the most prolific, enhanced journeys ever. I took it about 50 minutes.
I'm going to start stacking that when I do ceremonies. That's so cool.
I don't know if this is like FDA approved. Probably isn't. Where you're like, this is me, Chase, sharing my experience.
Yes. Not a doctor. He only plays one on TV.
Exactly. But the most intense, in a good way, journeys ever.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure it just like sharpens the experience, right?
Yeah.
Great.
How do we get here?
Semaglutide,
exactly.
autophagy.
Peptides,
So we did a lymph. My nutritionist put me on a 3-week like lymph flush, and then we're now playing with 3 days of like carb pulsing, so super high carbs for 3 days, and then 3 days of keto, and like really like restricted keto. So we're doing that for like a month.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that I've noticed, like, I'm so much sharper mentally right now, because I went through this phase a few months back where I just had terrible brain fog, terrible fatigue.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't, I even just a conversation like this would throw me off for a couple hours after. I'd be like, I need to just go for a walk and really decompress. Yeah. So I think the more that we're like attuned to that, and that comes from not pushing, because I would rather show up at 100%, 75% of the time than show up at 75%, 100% of the time. So the more you're like aware of how like your mental state and what you can do to really optimize it, I think is super important.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then supplement wise, definitely the ketones. I do them maybe 2 or 3 mornings a week on my coffee in the morning, half calf, of course. I throw a ton of nootropics in there, and then I'll have my ketones on an empty stomach. Like I'll do 30 ml an hour after that. And then that is great for me for doing collaborative work.
I love your little in the end. This is real life, everybody. This is real life.
But yeah, so I'll do the ketones are great.
This is a safe space, Anna. It's a safe
Thank
space.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel welcome. But
See you.
see me struggling. But the ketones for me are great for like more creative. So I think it allows me to tap into like my verbal communication really nicely. And versus another nootropic I take, methylene blue. I love. I use this brand called Troscriptions. They have this stack. I think it's called Tro Blue. And it is a tiny bit of nicotine, a tiny bit of CBD, a tiny bit of methylene blue, and like 5 milligrams of caffeine. It is the ultimate stack.
That's like kind of like things to make you chill, things to make you go, things to make you melt. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that I like taking when I'm doing more introverted work. So strategy work, I don't know why, it puts me in a different creative state. I also like both of them for working out too. They both like put me in that supercharged focus state.
I'm kind of like that with L-theanine in coffee. L-theanine and caffeine together is amazing. And then I'll add some CBD as well. Usually it's all together for me in Strong Coffee Company, and then I'll add CBD from I use Cure Nutrition, but it's like the things that make you kind of like be really present in here, but also you got basically your engines revving up a little bit, and you can choose to kind of go whenever you want. Work so synergistically. It's really wild when you think about it.
Yep.
Let's go into. Well, you kind of already answered this. I was going to ask you, have you ever done like a total reset? Like zero all the things? And it kind of sounds like maybe you are a little bit.
Kind of. And
why, really?
And a great example is when I travel. So I travel not too often, maybe a combined like week out of the month, 5 days out of the month. And that's usually the time that I'm just like, I'm not bringing anything with me. Unless I need to. That's my like go. Because I also think
you don't throw anything in the suitcase.
Yeah. I do some like good to haves or things that take like the things that I put in my morning coffee that make me feel good, and maybe like protein powder, things like that, but more so like supplements and like.
Okay, so maybe like more yes to like foundational nutritional stuff, not the supplements and hacks and kind of.
Because I think it's kind of nice giving yourself a break.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's good for your system, and it also allows you to really see clearly like, oh, this is working for me or this not. And I also think there's something really important about stacking variables one at a time. So instead of trying 4 peptides at once, like do one month and then stay with that one, add in another. Really like listen to your body, listen to how clearly you're thinking, so that way you know what's working for you.
Which kind of leads me to my another question, really my last question here in optimization I wanted to ask you is what baseline data or self-scan did you do, and how did that information help guide your next steps? And when it comes to, I want to kind of work on my hormones, I want to work on, you know, more like focus and, you know, this internal, external. What did you do, if you're okay to share? Was it just like, I got a physical, I got basic metabolic labs, I got an in-depth genetic testing? What baseline information did you get, and how did you use that to then go next steps?
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of a nerd, and I really like learning a lot about the human body, and I know that a lot of things that we feel are symptoms of underlying things. And I know a lot of the root of a lot of things is your gut. So I think intuitively, I've always known like, oh, my hormones are off, or, you know, I'm hormonal and my energy's low and this is off. And to me, it's always been like, okay, I need to start at my gut, because that's where a lot of your, your hormone production really starts. So
I think now the science is showing close to like 70% of our immune system is all comprised in the gut.
Yeah.
So case in point.
Yeah, exactly. And it also is really overwhelming. I'm sure a lot of people can attest to this, to like find a good practitioner, and you want to find a doctor, or does it need to be an MD? Does it need to be a functional health person? Like, who can you really trust? And, you know, a specialist versus a general person. So it is, unfortunately, there is a lot of trial and error. And for me, intuitively, I knew to start at my gut. So I haven't had, this is probably really bad, I haven't had a physical at the doctor in like 5 years plus, at least, you know?
My old school mentality, I still advocate a lot for everybody. Like everybody, once a year, just get your physical. I honestly, I think someone, again, I'm not a doctor, but like this is where like health coach hat chase comes back on. Knowing you and kind of hearing all the things that you do, and, you know, age, height, weight, sleep, training, all that. I feel like 5 is kind of fine. It's like old cars, you need to get your oil changed with standard oil every 3,000 miles. But now that we got synthetic oil, cars are more efficient. You know, you can bump it up to like 5, even 7,500 sometimes.
Yeah.
So, if it means anything, health coach Chase.
Thank you.
Says 5 years, Anna. You
Thanks
do your
for the
thing.
validation.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. But with that said, I'm all about getting labs annually. So annual labs, and I like to pick my own labs. Like I want to order them myself. I want to order exactly what I'm getting.
Wow.
And again, I just did a lot of research on that. I've read a lot of books. It's really, there's a lot of noise out there too. So I think I have my trusted resources. And mid last year, I worked with a gut specialist. We did some foundational stuff there. And then I started
functional medicine kind of testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started working with Joy Wellness. We did labs there. I went on my peptide and hormone protocol with them. I really felt good from all those.
Wow, amazing.
And then I started working with my functional nutritionist, Vince, who in my opinion has been one of the most powerful and hands-on work I've ever had compared to any doctor, which is a testament to like, should I hire an MD? Should I hire like a functional medicine practitioner? Or should I research and find somebody? Like, I'm all about referrals and word of mouth. And the guy that I work with has been referred to me by multiple people that I really care about. And like on paper, I didn't know that I would have every part of my health looked at with him: the emotional, the physical, nutrition,
what a great
fitness.
surprise.
Yeah. So that was honestly by surprise. And that's been more rare, because I don't think I've ever really worked with practitioners that I can, that really cover everything. What about you?
I was going to say kind of same. About a year, when I turned 36, like a year and a half ago, I was good. Like I feel like a guy now going into his late 30s. I felt, healthy externally, internally. My mental health, has really come so far. I felt good. I think better than most people my age. But I got really curious about, do I want to accept good? Do I want to just, hold the line, so to speak? Not that I wanted to, go through the whole gamut and find, just go looking for something wrong, but I wanted to do what you did and kind of branch out and to go, what are the different types of tests that I can get? What haven't I gotten? What haven't I gotten in a long time? Who is out there kind of looking at certain things in, a different way that I haven't before? Because hell, feeling good is amazing. We can go from good to great, or even great to greater. there are a lot of tools out there, and getting unique labs like expanded metabolic panel. I did some functional medicine testing. I did genetic testing, a lot of different things, and to kind of help paint a much bigger picture of who I am, especially internally. And then that helped guide my decisions for, I'm going to maintain here because clearly what I'm doing is working. I had no idea that I even needed to work on this stuff. And then other things that I could just really fine tune just to go 1% better, and 1% better like really translates a lot in real life when you're already kind of running pretty well.
Yeah, and it's actually really gratifying too to get your labs and then switch up some variables and then see the direct correlation and see what really helped. And for me, like I mentioned to you, the organ meat that really helped for me with a lot of things. And then also I experimented with certain. There's this place in Austin I go to called Alive and Well. I'd get an IV once a month, and then I would do different intramusculars every other week outside of the week that I'd get an IV. And that really helped dial everything in, because before that I was always like, do IVs really work? Like, do injections really work? And for me, they did. My vitamin D levels, the aminos in my blood, like a lot of different things worked.
That's huge feedback.
Really helped.
That's great.
Yeah. And have you done NAD?
Yeah. NAD plus. Yeah. That guy got the solution at home. I'm on, I think, like my third iteration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done an IV?
Yeah. Every once in a while I'll get a bag with like an NAD push. Yeah, I think that's the right word. Yeah. I've
At
done
the
it.
end. So is it like a, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got one at home one time. There's a great place here in LA called Remedy Place. Amazing facility. And yeah, done a few in the day.
Yeah. NAD has been a big needle mover for me.
That one, I love that moment when like you feel the NAD kick in.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
It's the worst. Oh, I'm
Jesus.
like, I feel like you're like Hulk about that. That must be what Hulk feels like about it. Just like
you're all tingly. Yeah. Yeah. So
I do it at home mostly.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
the IM at home.
Yeah.
And so like I'll inject, and then it's just I'm in the bathroom and I'm just.
That's so funny. I hate it. So I also do. I have NAD through Joy Wellness as well.
Yeah. I get mine from Blokes.
Yeah. So how many days a week do you do the injections?
I do it once a week for a month, and then a month off, and then I've done it now. I'm on my second iteration. Excuse me.
Cool. Yeah, I've been doing one a week as well, and I do a 750 milligram bag once a month, and that like.
How do you like that compared to like the injection?
Oh, it's night and day. So I think number one, it's delivery mechanism. So IV, no matter what, will get into it goes straight to your bloodstream. And then intramusculars too. And then like troches or liposomal is 3. You can nebulize things. That's another good delivery mechanism. And then and then there's also topical. For some things like magnesium are really good. And then there's like orals and capsules, which are like the least, your body absorbs those the least because most of us have gut inflammation.
Yeah.
So, and you can get way more NAD if you do it in an IV over the course of 3 hours versus like a small injection. So I love the injections as like a weekly like tune up. But the IVs, holy shit, couple of things. One, I actually think I'm dying when I'm doing them. It's the worst experience. It is the worst. And I go full open gauge because it's so uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like
You're a full send kind of girl, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I've
Fuck me
never,
up.
yeah, seriously. But it literally feels like you're having a heart attack, like an elephant's like stomping on your chest. It just like this, you get congestion, like nauseous. I almost threw up last time I did it.
Wow.
It was really bad. And that is a testament to how good it is. Because I still do that for 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours once a month.
Wow.
To just be in complete misery. It's worth it. As soon as I'm done, I mean, there's the contrast of not feeling like you're dying anymore. But within that next 24 hours, my vision is clear. I like need less sleep. I feel very just very, very, very alive.
I think there's a lot of studies out now, well, in general with like post-COVID stuff, but the nature of how it really, really influenced positive respiratory health is like people are getting like off of long COVID symptoms with it, and it's like they're just seeing profound benefits for like really even acute uses, but just in general optimization, it's incredible as well.
Yeah, and actually, for people who struggle with addiction, a lot of NAD studies, like most clinical studies around NAD are around addiction.
Interesting. Why is that?
It just does something to your brain, like the part of your brain that addiction stuff lies.
That's
it
really
supports
interesting.
it. Yeah.
Because a lot of plant medicines as well, psilocybin, ketamine, even ketamine is a really highly used modality for addiction, for substance abuse, alcohol.
Cool.
I even noticed when I started regularly microdosing with psilocybin, I just lost interest in alcohol. And I was kind of, getting into my 30s and was, drinking less anyway, and, realizing how detrimental to my health alcohol really is. But I remember after I did a month-long protocol, a microdose of 0.165 grams, 2 days on, 1 day off for a month. And I had so many other amazing health benefits like increased HRV, flow, energy, mental health, but was so unique. After that, I was just like, when I thought about alcohol or saw it, I was just like, I'm not even interested. Not even interested at all.
Interesting.
So now it has to really be a special occasion.
Yeah.
Like a really great steak dinner for a glass of red wine, or, friends in town to just be degenerates every once in a while, but because life.
Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting. So I wonder, it's got to have something to do with probably the same neuroplasticity that happens and neural crosstalk that happens in the brain. So finally your brain can really speak to all parts of the brain and go, hey, stop that shit, basically. I think it's really interesting. Yeah, it gets me thinking. But let's bring it back in. So we've been talking about branding, personal branding, how you can facilitate that and facilitate better overall well-being at the same time. So let's bring it all home, couple it into the entrepreneur lifestyle. Modern entrepreneurship, an optimized entrepreneur. I'm going to call it, maybe there's already a term, entrepreneurship 3.0. I feel like we're in a whole new world now of what people can do, how they can achieve success, how they can really get a better idea of success. And I think for a lot of people, it doesn't really look like what you thought. It doesn't look like as much money as you thought. It doesn't look like as much sacrifice or even a lot of these other optimization things we're talking about. You can feel better, perform, and have more success quicker, I think. And we have so many great platforms like this podcast and people like yourself to kind of like learn from and pull from. So with that, do you think entrepreneurship is in like a hold state? Are we pivoting in the world of entrepreneurship and kind of having these much more, like you were saying earlier, personal brand focus, optimized, oriented person? Like is this new generation of entrepreneurs really here to stay?
So a couple of things comes up, and I don't know if you've been feeling this too, but a lot of my friends that are very high performing entrepreneurs, they're really slowing down. It's a really big theme. A lot of people I think have been grappling with intense burnout and are really slowing down and building really efficient and lean businesses, myself included. And I don't, when you're going through something yourself, you recognize it more within other people. I don't know if it's that or if it's actually, or if it's like an objective wave that's coming up across people, but that's certainly something that I've been feeling. And another thing, I know like entrepreneur culture got really big like 3-4 years ago, quit your 9-to-5, start a course, do this, do that. When in reality, a lot of people are not meant to be entrepreneurs. A lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a good or bad. Some people thrive off of structure and stability and consistency. Other people hate that. They hate being in that kind of box. Some people love having guidance from somebody else. They love being managed. They love having SOPs. Other people, myself included, hate that. So it is no right or wrong. I just, when I work with people, I always urge them to really get clear on their own energetic imprint. What are your drivers? What are your drains? What do you like creating? And really stick to that versus like, oh, Chase has this really cool business. He does this. I want to do that. When like you're a different human.
Right.
We're all different. So I think the more you're able to just get aware about your own, like how your own energy flows, what lights you up, then you can kind of just follow the path, whatever that looks like.
I did this exercise recently. I run annually a group coaching mentorship group, kind of a offshoot of the podcast. And I work with a few people one-on-one. And I had a call with a guy last week. And it was more like this energetic thing in his entrepreneurship that I picked up on. And what we did is really kind of did like, I guess, an energetic scan, if you will, of exactly what you're talking about. When you do these things in your business, in your life, what days are they on? What time is it? Do you have any structure? And in those structures, how do you feel? Like, it's kind of like doing we're going to get baseline information on your nutrition, right? Before we go changing anything, let's gather data on what you're already doing. So we did that, and it's completely helping him kind of restructure not only what he does and how he does it, but more specifically when. And it's really, I hope he's realizing that, it actually is, to your point, taking a step back. And I can take back some of my energy and my time and my power and kind of really bring it back in. And that allows me to slow down, because then by doing so, I realize I show up more aligned here.
Yes.
I'm more attuned there. Yes. I have more creativity, more inspiration, which is also another point. There was none of that. There was no devoted time of nothingness, of literally sit your ass on the couch, do nothing, meditate, read a book, scroll on your phone, watch a movie, or maybe like same thing, white space, but it's just for creativity.
Yeah.
So draw, doodle, walk around, just like do nothing, but the end out goal is to rest and recover or to spark creativity. And that's just, I think, really where I see a lot of what I deem successful entrepreneurs right now doing well, and I think is a necessary next path for anybody that is going to be doing this and have longevity.
Absolutely. And that's really breaking the old school paradigm of the way that, the workday's structured, or you are the leader and you need to lead. And for me, it took me a while to break that paradigm for myself, because I thought it was selfish. And I thought my team would perceive me as being selfish. But it's, again, I'd rather show up at 100% than 75%. And for me, that comes down to becoming very just like attuned to when I like to work certain ways. So, there are creative blocks, there are meeting blocks, there are, strategy, like deep work blocks. So I go through and I make sure it's very consistent for my week. I only have 3 meeting days for myself every week. And then I only schedule my meetings between 2 to 5. So that was a hard one for me, because I always thought it was selfish, but
making yourself less available.
Correct. Yeah. But I know the first half of my day is when I work best creatively. And then for me, I've had to communicate that to my team, just to say, hey, even though they're all understanding, it makes me feel better to explain it. But essentially, like, I am the captain of the ship. And in order for me to keep the ship afloat, I need to do these things. I'm responsible for leads. I'm responsible for marketing. I'm responsible for bringing in VIP clients. So like, I need time to do that. And I need time to create. And I also think, like, touching on the creativity part, we are all inherently creative beings. But we don't have, most people do not have the white space to like be able to really channel their creativity. And
or for whatever reason, they're not willing to make and keep the white space.
Yeah. So for me, Fridays are complete white space. I have nothing structured, nothing set, no meetings. That is my creative day. And I really felt this when I went to Bali in December, and I booked a ticket a couple days in advance. I was supposed to be gone for a week, and I stayed for a month. And while I was there was when I created the idea of my mastermind, exactly what it is, exactly who it's for, because I was in the jungle. And during my hours of 8 to 6 p.m. at Bali time, everyone's asleep. So I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody to check up on. I don't have an Instagram feed to refresh. Nobody's going to email me. It's just nothing but white space. And when I was there, I was really, really, really able to just like sit in silence and just be. And that's when all my best ideas came out. Like I worked through things within my business, within my personal life. And I think that, not everyone can take a month off. I don't know when I'm going to be able to take a month off to go to Bali again, but how can we really infuse that into our lives? And something I've been doing a lot more at home is I try to walk an hour a day. It's usually 30 minutes. And I don't take my phone with me. Sometimes I'll drive like 5 minutes away to go in nature and just walk and just be. And that's still like, that's creative time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Walking also, meditation. Yeah.
Exactly. Are you familiar with EMDR?
Sounds familiar. What is that?
It's like a therapy modality. It's used to like heal trauma. And it's basically, you could do it visually, or it's like a left, right thing.
Oh, interesting.
Either on your body or visually. You work with a therapist. And the person who thought up of EMDR actually created it while walking. And in their mind, because you're walking, you're going left to right, and it's like stimulus to the left side, stimulus to the right side. And that's where they came up with the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So you're able to access that while you walk. There's so many benefits to walking.
I've got to find the exact study actually, because I talk about this all the time. Just the overwhelming benefits physically, mentally, emotionally to walking are crazy. But I remember hearing a long time ago, they did this study, and it really, I'm going to butcher the science, but basically the science of why walking is so therapeutic and magical and why we get so many great ideas is it's about that sweet spot, which we know at about 30 to 40 minutes is like the sweet spot for, physical health. You're actually, using fat, you're in long state, steady state training. There we go. But actually at that moment too, the reverb of the gravitational force on humans, really of any height, any size, any weight, when your heels strike the ground, the energetic reverb going up the kinetic chain to your brain begins to put you into, I believe, the same theta brainwave state as when we're meditating, as when we're in deep sleep. So that's kind of like the magic to walking here, why we get so creative. There actually is something to it.
That's beautiful. Great.
Science.
Amazing.
Yeah, so go take a walk, everybody.
Yeah, let's go.
Go take a walk. But you said it, and not everybody really is meant for entrepreneurship. You can be an entrepreneur, or just supporting an organization that already exists is incredible. And I have heard this in your story, how you kind of realize the type of entrepreneur that you were, detail-oriented versus visionary. How do you define those? And are those, would you say, kind of the two main quadrants of entrepreneurship? And how do we figure out which one we are?
Yeah, so I don't know if this will be a popular opinion, but I kind of feel like you need both. So for me, I've had to be detail-oriented in the beginning. Anytime I think of a new role or we have a new service or a new product, I am very detail-oriented with setting it up in the beginning. I know the SOPs. I know
because it's up here. Like you got to translate it. You got to build it out, right?
Yeah, exactly. As the visionary, I then build it out and I do it. So, we have account managers on our teams, designers, developers, copywriters, but I did all that first intentionally. And then every once in a while, I like to go in and manage a project because I want to see like, okay, now how long do things actually take? So how can I best optimize my team into doing this? So there are times where I like getting my hands dirty and getting in there. And I have such firm boundaries with delegating. If I like to stay in my lane. So for the most part, I do that. I have zero shame about delegating things. And when I know it's going to be more beneficial for the business, I get in the trenches, I do the details. So I think it's kind of like as a leader, you need to be able to do both, but it's not like you should be doing the details day to day.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes. And that is how you will be able to hire the best detail hires when you actually tell them what to do and how to do it versus them guessing it or not doing it correctly. Yeah.
So well said. Thank you. Is there anything new, kind of getting towards the end here now, is there anything going on in your world, in your business, in the kind of the world of branding that you are most excited for, or you feel like is kind of the next thing that you can maybe share with the audience?
I guess like big picture and more of a smaller picture thing. One, on the website side, we just started building on a platform called Webflow, which I'm obsessed with. I'll walk you through that. It's really, really dope. So that is something that I've been in the details lately, like working through what it looks like, how we can offer that. And then kind of on the bigger picture thing, what we were speaking about earlier is like the emphasis on the CEOs and the emphasis on the personal brands. And then how that can really transform businesses. And then also I think empower leaders.
Great. Okay. Great information. We'll be watching and following along. Again, seriously, what you guys do and how you do it, I can personally attest to is incredible. You've got a great system, great team, great workflow. I very much appreciate the deadlines. And I very much appreciate you all's follow-up to deadlines when certain clients sometimes miss a deadline. You're great at what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. You're a great client.
I missed a couple deadlines, but
it's all good.
But it got done. So with that, I want to ask you my final question. Living a life ever forward is really bringing awareness to a lot of things we've been talking about. What can we do to scan, to take, not control, but like to take inventory of ourselves, to keep certain things, to add, to let go of other things, to move us forward, to live a life ever forward. When you hear those words, what does that mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward?
I think being unapologetic about really being in perpetual motion. and not like really confining yourself to the old versions of you and how you used to show up, and really being in that perpetual state. And whether it's personal growth, business growth, evolution of your brand, all that.
Unapologetic. That's a word that doesn't come to mind that I've heard often or at all in that answer.
Great.
So it's always great to get some new. I'll take it. Thank you so much. But again, there's never a right or wrong answer. So Anna, with that, thank you so much. Where can everybody go to connect with you? We'll have everything in the video notes, show notes, but where are they going?
Thank you. So just holler at me on Instagram, Anna Doing Things. I'll eventually rebrand.
She's doing things.
Thank you.
She's doing all the things.
I want to rebrand to Anna Being one day.
Oh.
Because I don't...
Wow. Okay.
Soft girl era, I'm telling you.
Upcoming personal brand shift. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Anna Being. I hope you get there.
Yeah.
You will get there.
Thank you.
And when you do, maybe we'll slip into that 21% mode.
Perfect.
That'll be good.
Great.
Right?
Love that.
Well, let me kill the interview there. Thank you so much, Anna.